Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Kali Shakib bin Karl Huzar, and along with my group mate Noor Akila Izzati, we will be presenting our fully interactive 2D excavator made using Glute OpenGL for Madam Noor Nabila under the course code CSC658. Before we take a look at the coding of the program, I'll give a demonstration of our excavator. For the situation that we've placed the excavator in, there's been a roadblock caused by rubble. So, the excavator has been sent to clear the road in order for it to be operational again. Now, our excavator has the ability to move left and right. It can move its first arm, the second arm, and also the bucket of the excavator. We have two functions that are called in the main program. One is a display function called drawExcavator, which draws the background and the excavator itself. Next, we have a keyboard function called handleKeyPress, which handles the movement of the excavator itself. And this will be explained by my groupmate shortly. In our drawExcavator function, we created various elements to bring our program to life. We have the sun, landscape, dirt road, clouds, which consists of circles that are attached to each other, houses, which are divided into two sections. We have trees, consisting of three triangles attached to a rectangular base, the rubble, that is meant for the excavator itself, and also the excavator, which is divided into base tires, the base of the excavator, the inner tire design, the cab of the excavator, and the arms of the excavator itself. Moving on to the design of the background and the excavator itself, we incorporated some functions to decrease the amount of line usage and simplify our coding. We've done this for circles, rectangles, and triangles, as these shapes are used very frequently throughout our program. So for example, every time we'd like to create a new rectangle, all we would need is a single line of code to call this function, and we would only have to give the center XY coordinates, the width, the desired width and height of the rectangle itself. We can also input the color for every individual shape for increased customization and convenience. To give a physical representation on how the functions can simplify our coding, this segment of code creates a fully detailed side of a house with only 5 lines. These 5 lines were used to create this part of the house that you can see in our program. For the arms of the excavators, we've drawn them using combinations of rectangles, circles, and triangles. But when the program runs, it is instantly rotated to a predetermined angle. For example, arm angle 1 is set to 45 degrees, arm angle 2 is -60, and the bucket is -30. So if you would run the program, you would already see that the arms of the excavator itself are already angled, when by default, they should look like this.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Naklis Deputy Safaruddin, and I will continue to present how to move the excavator using keyboard inputs. First, when the user presses a movement key such as A and D, the excavator will move 0.05 units along the x-axis through GL translate F, while pressing arm control keys such as by using letter W, S, E, and else, it will rotate the respective arm by 5 degrees with GL rotate F. So through a switch tool that receives an unsigned char variable from the user, keyboard input is recorded and translated to the movement. So let me show you how does it work. For letter A, it will move the excavator to the left, and while pressing D, it will move the excavator to the right. Okay, and back to A. Okay. While pressing W and S, it will move the first arm up and down. W and then S. S is going down and W is going up. Okay, that one is for first arm. For the second arm, okay, right here, we use letter E, keyboard E, and Q to going up and down. This one is E, this one is Q. Okay, for letter C, okay, on the keyboard, it will move the buckets up, while Z, it will move the buckets down. So for the letter, for the keyboard R and F, okay, R for all arms, to move all arms up, and right here, and while pressing F, it will move all arms going down here. So it's not just one by one. Okay. So every single arm has a maximum angle. For example, when the first arm reaches 90 degrees downwards, it will ignore further input from the user unless the user wants to move it in the opposite direction. Here. Okay, that's all from me, and that's all for task 1, OpenGL. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Muhammad Najmi bin Wan Azri. I will explain about the blender function here, the object that we used. First, I do for wooden places for men and women. For the roof, I use plane and cube object, and I use extrude scale the size to make it real roof. For the top, I use the cylinder and make scale extrude and resize as to make like Islamic symbol. So I duplicate the first one into 2 to put another side. The main part here, for inside the floating moss part stairs, that I use the cube as the step and join the other steps, and the end of stairs, I use the cylinder as mark of finish the stairs. Second, doors I use cube. But I scale and curve the object to make curved door and color the door as dark color. For the main entrance that looks like glass for Masjid Selat Melaka, I use image texture to insert the image into object that we use the Islamic geometric pattern to more look like in for the Masjid Selat Melaka. As you can see, we insert the windows. So the windows for each side of mosque use the same concept for all sides of the mosque, but different shape for the side of main entrance. I use the curved style window, but for the windows that inside the 4 tower of each edges of the mosque, that we can see that the tower here, that inside 4 tower of edges of the one in use the cube and scale into look like rectangle and copy paste for all the towers. So just copy paste for the one tower here and do the same for the each towers. So the 4 towers I use cube, and for the curved one I use cube but scale into look more sharp a little bit, and the roof is the same concept with the wood paste, the same with the red one before this. So for the dome moss, I use UV sphere but transform into half semisphere, and I use image texture as design of dome moss. So we can see the image texture here to more look like a dome to more look like dome moss in real life. And the top of dome, I use the same one with the wooded space that the symbolic of Islam, and the symbol of Islam. That's it from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Ain Amira, and I will continue to explain this project. First, for the gate, I use the cube object and scale the size using scale tool. And for the top of the gate, I use the ecosphere object and remove half of it and keep the top of part. Next, for the design and details of the gate, I use the nerve parts and reshape it based on the reference. Next, for the water, I use the plane object and edit it in shading space using the noise texture, glass BSTF, glossy BSTF, and mixed shader. I adjust the texture of the plane object until it looks like realistic water. And next, for the rock, I use the ecosphere object and modify the shape until I get the shape looks like a rock. And to make it more realistic, I'm not using a color, but I use the image texture. Next, the roof root. For the pillar, I use the cube object and adjust the size using the scale tool. And I also use the cube object for the connection between the pillar and the rooftop. And for the rooftop, I use the cylinder object, remove half of it to make it a hemisphere, and use the extrude region tool to extend the length of the shape. And for the main gate of the roof root, I use the cylinder to create the shape and the cube object for the pillar. I insert an image of text into the cube object for the signboard. And for the 2 sides of roof root, I use the same step as before for all the pillars, but for the rooftop, I just use the plain object. Next, the mini garden. For the grass part, I use the torus object, remove the unwanted parts, and shape it to look like a pot. For the grass, I also use the torus object, remove part to follow the shape of the grass part, and use an image texture. In the particle properties, I click on hair and change the value for the number of emission and force to brownie. For the tree branch, I use the cube and reshape it using the scale tool and extrude rigid. For the leaf, I choose the image as plants, adjust the branch, and use the edge shader and translucent BSTF to make more realistic. And the last part for me is the fountain. I use the cylinder object, resize and reshape the edge, and use the plane object for the water texture.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. So today I'm going to explain about my part in group project computer graphic. So I've assigned to the minaret of Masjid Salat Melaka. So first thing first, my name is Muhammad Afiq bin Azari. My nomenclature is 2023114193. So this is my minaret of Masjid Salat Melaka. So I'm going to start with the top one. The top one, I'm using UV sphere and cylinder. I resize it and make it shorter for the cylinder, and I combine it so it does look like this at the top of the minaret of Masjid Salat Melaka. So for the side of Masjid Salat Melaka, I'm using square, but I adjust the thickness and I bend it and stretch it to make it look like semi triangle. So I do it for every edges to make it look like the real minaret of Masjid Salat Melaka. So for the roof, so for the middle part of my minaret, I'm using cylinder, but I make it hexagon to make it look more real. So next is the roof of minaret. I'm still using square, but I bend it and make it and adjust the thickness and resize it to make it look like this. I make it 3 for every edges. So for the bottom one, for the roof, I'm still using square. I bend and I stretch it to make it look like this, almost the same. And I'm using cylinder and I adjust for the stand. I'm adjust cylinder and adjust the minor and major segment to make it look like a cube. So next is the land one. I'm using cube as well. I'm using cube and I adjust the thickness, resize it and make it look like this. Same thing I did to the stair. So for the color, I'm choosing white for the body, almost whole body. I'm using white, except for the roof, for the top of the minaret, I'm using gold color, and the window I'm using blue with I add some metallic, and the stair I'm using more like cream color, and for the land I'm using like cream color but darker, and the stair I'm still using cream color but more lighter. So that's all from me for minaret of Masjid Salat Melaka. Thank you.